The legendary Thunderbird. The clouds grow dark as a figure in the sky approaches with impressive speed. The bright feathers of this enormous winged creature make for a stark contrast in the sky. It seems to be coasting on the winds above, but with every flap of its wings the rumbling of thunder can be heard. The people below stare in awe at this mighty protector and enforcer. Behold, the mighty Thunderbird. What is a Thunderbird? The Thunderbird is a mythological character that appears in many Native American legends. From the numerous stories of the Thunderbird, it is often assumed that Thunderbird is a protector, though at times this creature can be forced to punish those of low moral integrity. Thunderbird. There is much curiosity surrounding the existence of the Thunderbird myths. Many would claim that these myths are simply symbolism that is used to explain natural weather phenomenon. However, there are those that have higher hopes. A small section of pseudoscientists believes that the Thunderbird could have been a pterodactyl that managed to survive longer than thought possible or another form of megafauna. Some with this belief are of the opinion that the Thunderbird may be a cryptid instead of a mythological creature, though this is unlikely. We know from legend that the Thunderbird is an enormous creature and it would be unlikely for them to have survived this long away from the public eye. The Thunderbird according to lore. According to many legends, the Thunderbird is so large that one feather from their wingspan would have to be folded in half to properly fit into a quiver. Additionally, these creatures were so large and mighty that they could easily carry a whale in their talons. Because of this, many scholars find it unlikely that the Thunderbird could exist in modern day without being seen. In spite of these things, the Thunderbird continues to be a point of fascination for all. The Thunderbird appears to be a creature of extreme intelligence and intrigue. There are many stories that tell of the Thunderbird in Native American legends, which make the creature appear to be one of the key deities in their beliefs. The Thunderbird is mysterious in that it is not merely a protector, but is also seen as enforcer of morality, one that should never be angered. Many legends reference the anger of the Thunderbirds as something fearsome to behold and that should be avoided at all costs. The Thunderbird is known to have harsh punishments for people who have done wrong and is even said to have turned an entire village to stone for their wrongdoings. The Thunderbird was known to give life by nurturing the life forms on Earth and giving them the necessary rains to survive. However, these creatures could also destroy the Earth with winds, floods, droughts, and fires caused by lighting. The Thunderbird is thought to be the physical embodiment of the elements as well as a noble spirit that would protect humans from evil spirits. There are some legends that claim the Thunderbird may have even been a distant ancestor to the human race. Origins of the Thunderbird legends. The Thunderbird myth is very widespread throughout America and Canada. There are also records of similar creatures in Europe, Asia, and Africa. Depending on whose version of the myth is being told, the Thunderbird can be a single entity or can constitute a whole race or tribe of peoples. Some cultures even believe this mighty creature may have married into human families and have offspring that can be traced back to this today. Many legends suggest that Thunderbirds had the ability to shapeshift into human form. They supposedly did this by removing their feathers, which could be put on and taken off like a blanket, and tipping their beaks up over their heads similar to the way one might do with a mask. When this was done, a Thunderbird could walk among humans without drawing attention. All that needed to be done for them to transform again was to pull down their beaks and put on their feathers again. Thunderbird in various cultures. Thunderbird of the Menominee peoples. According to the Menominee tribe, the Thunderbirds live on an enormous mountain that floats in the sky. These majestic creatures are known to control the elements, rain, hail, etc., and sometimes watch the happenings of human life. They are said to find great pleasure in fighting and the accomplishment of impressive feats. These Thunderbirds are known to be enemies of the Mississippinubuck, the great horned snake, and are the reason mankind has not been devoured or overrun. The Menominee Thunderbirds are also known to be messengers of the great sun and were highly respected by these peoples. Thunderbird of the Ojibwe peoples. The Ojibwe legends of the Thunderbird claim this creature was created by Nanabasho, one of the culture's hero figures, in order to protect people from evil underwater spirits. They lived in the four directions and migrated to the land of the Ojibwe during the spring with other birds. During this time they fought the underwater spirits. They stayed until the fall when the most dangerous season for the underwater spirits had passed. In the fall, they migrated south with other birds. The Ojibwe Thunderbird legends also suggest that these creatures were responsible for punishing humans who broke moral rules. As the anger of the Thunderbird is known to be extreme, this would have been great incentive to maintain good moral conduct. Thunderbird of the Winnebago peoples. The Thunderbird of the Winnebago people suggests that this creature also had the power to grant people great abilities. Their traditions dictate that any man who has a vision of the Thunderbird during a fast will one day become a mighty war chief. Thunderbird of the Sioux peoples. Sioux legends claim that the Thunderbird was a noble creature that protected humans from Untahila during the old times. The Untahila were said to be extremely dangerous reptilian monsters. Without the help of the Thunderbird, it is uncertain if man would have been able to overcome these creatures alone. Thunderbird of the Arapaho peoples. Arapaho mythology sees the Thunderbird as a summer creature, as did many of the tribes of the Great Plains. According to their legends, the Thunderbird was an opposing force to the white owl, the creature that represented winter. Thunderbird of the Algonquian peoples. The Algonquian peoples had deep reverence for the Thunderbird in their culture. According to their legends, Thunderbirds were ancestors of the human race. Their stories often tell of the Thunderbird's part in the creation of the universe. According to their myths, Thunderbird ruled over the upper world and the great horned serpent ruled over the underworld. Thunderbird protects humans from the great horned serpent and its followers by throwing lightning at underwater creatures. Thunderbird of the Shawnee peoples. Like many other tribes, the Shawnee people also believe the Thunderbird could change its appearance in order to interact with people. Their beliefs, however, detail that Thunderbirds appeared as boys and could be identified by their tendency to speak backwards. Physical appearance. The Thunderbird is considered to be a mighty creature of enormous size. They are often depicted as being a fantastic size that is difficult to comprehend. A single feather from the Thunderbird's wingspan is said to be so large that it would need to be folded in half to properly fit into a quiver. It is often said that a Thunderbird is able to pick up a whale in its talons. The frequency with which whales are mentioned in these legends may suggest that whales were a favorite food source of hungry Thunderbirds. Thunderbirds were also known to have bright and colorful feathers that were very pleasing to look at. Each flap of their wings allowed them to cover great distances and caused a mighty thundering sound, which likely inspired their name. These creatures were also known to have teeth and claws. Though this was often an imposing sight, it was also seen as comforting because the Thunderbird was known to be a great protector. Varying legends tend to differ at this point when it comes to storytelling. There are some who say that the Thunderbird carried lakes of water upon its back. Those who tell this version of the story say that this is where the rains that nourish the lands come from. There are also stories that suggest the Thunderbird had another face in the middle of its chest. There are several variations of this part of the myth. It is uncertain if the face is avian-like or if the face that was seen was a misidentification of two glowing snakes that the creature was said to carry with it. Most versions that claim the Thunderbird carried snakes with it also claim that these snakes were responsible for the lightning bolts that filled the sky upon the great bird's arrival. Other versions of the Thunderbird myth disagree. It is their opinion that the Thunderbird was able to create lighting by simply blinking its eyes.